this a little bit. That one doesn't light up when you
No, it doesn't light up.
you just have to tap it to see if it's on.
That's what I don't know.
Okay. I don't know how far this thing goes. Do I need to pull it up to say? Okay.
They all should pick up, so.
Okay. It's 5:31 and calling this work session to order. This is a work session of Paradise City Council and staff members and we're going to be talking about budget numbers as they're coming together gradually as we see this. So I'm going to thank Darren for his much work on this, so much work on this. It's a lot to get your hands around and your head around, and this and receiving numbers in from places that, you know, sometimes you're still waiting on numbers to come. Anyway, thank you, Darren, for everything that you have been doing. So much work. So I'm gonna probably turn it over to you and we'll walk through this.
Okay,
This
so.
fat document you have before us today.
So I added a couple more columns today as I talked to council members about just kind of where we're currently at towards the end of February, as far as where our revenues are coming in at, and where we budgeted we hopefully would be. So they're there, and I made that through the revenue and through the general fund. The other ones I haven't had a chance to get through all those yet, so I haven't got through those. So this document's set up with 2027, which is our budget that we'll be passing this May 15th or May 1st, 5th is our first meeting, and the tentative budget has to be passed then. We'll have a public hearing that day and go through the tentative budget. But I want to make sure we're all working towards the same goal on this and getting to that point. I also have the fiscal year 26 approved budget on there, what we approved last year, and that's the budget we're currently working right now. And we're going through that, so that would be the other two columns at the end. And I also have 2025. Now, when we get ready to get to the tentative budget, there's a couple columns that will change. The one where it says the fiscal year 25 approved will be the actual. So that's what we finished at the end of the year, signed off, had our audit on. So I'll have the actual numbers of where we're at on that one. So it'll give us a little bit closer idea as we go through that process. Page 1 is revenues. As you can see, we start off with property tax. That's our general property tax. We did a truth and taxation 2 years ago for increases for sheriff, fire. One had one. Remember it? There's one more that went for.
Fire. You said fire.
Sheriff and fire were the two. They were really big that year. They were a big increase. So that was the majority of that increase on that one. This year.
But also just even salary.
Yeah.
That was part of it too.
Yeah, we did 2 years at that time. Yeah, we did 2 years. So it was a little bit bigger. So this year, I just put the same property tax in there as we go through this. We can see towards as we get to the end of it where we're at for the increased cost. So this year there's an increased cost for the fire of about 5%. Talking with the sheriff last week, they think it'll be really close to that 12%. So that's a really big increase compared to what we were expecting.
What is their justification for 12%?
Some of it is the way the new auditor's looking at it, and then the increase for dispatch with Layton. And none of those numbers have been finalized yet with Layton. So it's.
Is Layton looking to make money off of everybody else, or are they just passing along costs, or do we have any idea?
I have no idea. I can't answer that. I know other cities have called and talked with Layton, and other cities have called and talked with Farmington, or not Farmington, Davis County, about the increases. and where they think they're gonna be. And it's based on a couple different things, number of officers, where Davis County Dispatch used to dispatch for all highway patrol, all U.S. Marshal, all the other departments statewide. That all disappears. It's all the money they receive from that, their dispatch center. That's going to be dispersed.
Article in the paper, featuring the sheriff, and he was talking about some different programs that he was implementing before he finishes his term, and having a consolidated dispatch center was kind of a big thing for him to be able to say that he had done that. That comes
But
in.
that didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
The split between Layton and Bountiful. So now there's two dispatch. And so it's split on that. Yeah, so the sheriff's dispatch will be, so.
Whatever the case, all these big changes are undoubtedly going to come at a cost.
Yeah. They were supposed to, maybe supposed to have a better, but he seems to have that way, yeah. So.
There's kind of got any plans for what they're gonna do with their current space area? It's pretty enough, about a few thousand square feet.
I have not asked them if they're what they're gonna do with that area. They created that new operations center, which is amazingly nice. And I think it can benefit the county, but yeah, they haven't really said what they're doing with that area. Last my understanding was on the dispatch, talking that in October, November timeframe is when they'll have the majority of it switched over. So let's go down kind of through there. Business licenses, we're pretty much being close to the same. We haven't had really changes on that amount. So that'll be really close to the same. Application fee, that's the fee we now charge when people are doing their building permits and all those different kinds of things. There's an application fee along with that. We had a lot of building permits in the past where they would come in and we go through the whole process and then we get to the point where we say, oh, we won't do it now. He was spending a lot of time doing building permits
So,
and not going through the whole process.
and it looks like you're saying that we've already taken in $4,500. So I assume.
I'm supposed to be higher on that. I
You'll-
think it was supposed to be 5,000 on that too.
Okay, so I assume.
Now that we're getting closer. Yeah. I actually got those numbers today to see exactly where we were. I started this guy yet, but, and that's just doing with building permits. The majority of it is those applications for the building permits. Just adding a few more of this next year than we had this last year. I think we'll be there for sure. Hit that, especially with the Henry Walker Home, Jack Fisher Homes up at the north end. I think that'll add another whole thing to it. Excavation permits are actually less. We don't have as many of those being dug up for different projects, so our excavation's actually starting to drop.
But you're still at 3/4 and of what you're projecting, so it's not terrible.
Yeah, and that one's never really super big anyway.
Right.
We don't have any, the cable company, we're charging them, we're charging these others. It's not a big project, but I know we're coming to go through that. The cable rent for, it goes along with the franchisees for the cell towers and then monthly fees and stuff like that. So that's what that one is. The county local option tax stays really close to the same as part of that extra gas tax and those kind of things that they put out. So it does not change much as far as the amount that Sprite City gets for that. It stays pretty
It may
constant.
drop a little bit though with the price of gas.
Yeah.
That may slow that down a couple $1,000.
I hope none of it stays there. So. That'll come in. We got a couple more.
We've got
That will be coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got 2 more quarters that will be coming in. Our next.
But even at 2/4, it's not not.
It'll be close. I think we'll need it. Convenience fee, that's just one of those pass-throughs for credit card use.
Like more people are doing that than we thought would be.
Yeah, well, we also had 2 or 3 people with their homes just come and pay with a credit card,
So for their
and so that's a
building permit.
yeah, for their building permit, and so that's a big 3% that you're not really expecting, but subdivision engineering fees dropping. You just don't have anything on the horizon that I know of.
But that's a pass-through too, right?
That's a pass-through. Yeah, a lot of these.
So it's not really, something that,
Like revenue.
yeah, it's not really revenue, it's something.
It's a pass-through, but yeah, it's just one of those ones you have to show as a revenue because you're receiving the money for it. And then it's getting paid right back out in planning or something like that.
Right.
So, park reservations, majority of that one is actually the city building. So,
That needs to go up a little bit too.
yeah, we're just like, we're at 1,800 or 1,600 now. I think we'll be up to there, so. And then your admin cost shares, they just, each month, there's a certain portion that moves forward through that, all the way down to those next ones. Interest has been really good this year, so that's why that, and we'll figure it'll stay the same this next year from everything that we're hearing, so we'll leave it up closer to that amount there.
What are we selling this year? Our fixed assets?
We may have one truck that we're selling, one of the internationals, and going through that. Just going through that process now. Working on that and see where we'll be. So
When we upgrade our sound system for the building here, can we get anything for the old ones that we're replacing? Or is it pretty much just
I haven't talked to him about
surplus?
the which ones they're going to replace exactly. Yeah, so I don't know yet.
Yeah.
That's coming up, so that'll be
all
nice.
what they were gonna try, if they could.
Keep as much as they could. Yeah,
No guarantee
yeah.
until they get into it.
And then, once again, 1036-700, that has to also do with cell towers. That is, we renew our contract with them, which is about every 5 years.
650 versus donations, there's nothing on there right now. Is that the idea of like if we have a specific project, like
Like the
cemetery or?
Yeah, pickleball, you city council will go on that. We don't know what donations are gonna be there, so we don't budget for that. And then that's something we'll look at once they come in, and then we say, okay, because, I mean, if you look now, it's showing that there was, I think there was $2,000, that's from the U City Council, where they're going up to Utah State or going down to the Capitol. That's where that is coming from, but you put it into that donation, and then it goes back into that account, to cover the overage accounts, stuff like that.
So what's the 100,000 year or fiscal year 26 approved?
For lease?
It's for the lease and other financial.
That's the thing.
That was the cell towers, and that was not this last year that we got paid, it was before that. It's more on my part. When we were going through the budget, I was thinking, oh, we get that once again. So that's a smart on me. So.
Before we go on, I do have a question about sales tax. And according to our previous audit report, it suggests that our sales tax was closer to 1.3 million. I'm just curious about that. So what it's showing in our audit report, and I have no idea what this represents, I'm just curious, is in the audit report, it shows 1.3 million in sales tax, and then with 183,000 going directly to capital projects fund, and not through the general fund and then back to capital projects. So I'm not quite understanding what that is. Do you have any idea on that one?
I'm gonna have to ask him that one.
Because, I mean, it does make a little bit of a difference as to how we're doing things. If we're looking at a 1.3 sales tax versus a
Yeah,
1.125. And, I mean, certainly we have a need in our capital projects fund, but we should be managing that from our general fund.
Right.
Not.
Not through that, I don't know why,
this is
why that's
backwards.
that way, yeah. I don't know why
And-
that's that way. Let me look at that.
And so I was trying to figure it out.
It's
No,
the
That's our audit report.
audit report.
For the previous fiscal year.
It would have been 2025.
Any
Any
2025.
25.
I mean, because if we're getting truly more closer to 1.3 million, then that would make it different.
Yeah, When I go through that, I don't know.
Okay.
None of my treasure that way.
Do you see the sales tax reports or is it?
Yeah, well, I do, when I get on the PTIS, so every quarter, when they do it. So right now, the end of February, I think it was like 800,000.
But we have 2 more quarters.
Yes, well, yeah, we got the next quarter, so that's our third disbursement,
It comes in
For this
quarterly,
year.
right? Not monthly. Or
not
is it
monthly, no.
just quarterly. So we're already at almost 600 for that. But that was Christmas too.
Yes.
No.
We're at 800.
800.
Okay, sorry, wrong line.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would have been to the end of February on that one.
Okay, but
So-
again, it includes Christmas.
Yes, yeah.
And here.
Yeah. So that was your, the one that's the February.
But if you don't get it.
So
quarterly, we're
we should get-
6 months worth.
We'll get one more.
In March. and in
So we got
March.
a disbursement in February,
Okay, yeah.
so we'll get, so. Yeah, so we get one more.
Yeah.
Or
Just
two
one,
more.
2 more.
Two more.
Because you should get one mid-June too, right? Or do you not get one until August? Or is that,
Well,
where are we? We got one in February.
we got the February disbursement.
February would have been the quarter ending in December.
Yes, so we got 2 more then. Well, it's gotta come in June. June will be our last one. I think there's one more in June. So, yeah. So, we're going to
This year.
go to candidates next budget year because
So do you
it was
know?
deposited into that account.
Know what's been done in the past.
So actually, due to sales tax, a lot of sales tax we get is coming from Cherry Hill because of all.
No.
No?
Amazon.
Amazon?
Amazon or anything like that, anything that's
Front porch.
point of delivery is where the sales tax goes. So that's where we, yeah.
So if you're trying to decide whether to have your house discussed, ship it to your door or drive down Costco and buy it, ship it to your door.
You know,
I was actually going to ask, there's been discussion on the golf course. Do people that purchase these at the golf course, does that go to the county because it's a county facility? Or is it, do we get anything because?
We would probably get
in our city?
we would get a very small percentage of that sales tax.
A little bit bigger than their 1%, because it's in our city,
Yeah.
it's within our city. And so we get our 1%, like we train or whatever.
The golf fees, no, just the sales in the
In the-
golf shop or the restaurant.
Just not
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah.
Probably.
Whatever, yeah. Okay, are we ready to jump over expenses?
Yes, thank you for.
Okay. These are ones that we have talked about a few times in council. I'm a little bit closer now. I received our insurance. I received a couple other things, so I'm a little bit closer on those prices. So those things have just changed over the last week and a half, as I've got those in from everybody.
So, as we're talking about this, I know one of the things you proposed was a little bit of a raise for the council and mayor. And, I want to throw out there that, and I'm only one person, but it's been a long time since we've raised, and I think, $50 a month raise would be extremely reasonable, but I'm only one person, but I do think it's probably time, because as you start looking at what people are trying to do and doing things with their job, it's job.
Yeah, I think the proposal was only $25. Just
It wasn't 75.
75 for the main one. $20.
I'll look for sure.
But-
Ours on the report.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Like I said, I will tell you, I increased that there since 2023.
Yes,
On my 2025, my first budget.
Yeah.
My very first budget, I increased that. Just looking back,
we haven't taken it.
there has not been an increase before 2016. So it's been that same amount for that whole time. And so I've brought it up a couple times, but once again, I felt like what the council and that are doing in the time they're actually spending, deserves a little more. And we're less than other cities. And we're doing, then you guys are doing the same thing. So, I put it in there, but I can't say yes to that. That is up to, that's up to the whole.
From
I feel that it is justified, however.
Is that right?
However, given all of the increase in costs, if there's one little token thing we can show to our residents, that we are not taking a raise at the same time we're asking to pay more, that's just a simple gesture, I think. I don't know. That little bit extra money is not gonna make a difference.
I hear exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you. However, I've literally said that every single year.
Yeah, right.
10 years.
Yeah, and that's what we say every time. Exactly.
So I am a little conflicted, but I also say, okay, you know what, there is some legitimacy to that comment, to putting it in, and ultimately $75 an hour.
Are you saying 75 or 50?
like 50 would be 3,600 for.
Yeah.
all.
Right, Derek put in 75.
Yeah.
Oh, 50, okay, yeah. 50.
Whatever, I mean,
Yeah, the proposal number was just to go up 75.
Yeah.
That's enough to take your spouse to dinner.
Yeah, that's really good.
Once.
There you go.
Yeah, McDonald's.
McDonald's.
I know we could do what you suggested, is 50 rather than. Anyways, it's just an idea, and I'm not passionate one way or the
I'm not either, I mean, honestly, but I just think, one of the things you have to consider is that you will have people who are running for council that may not have the budgets that other people have, and I never thought that we should eliminate people based on the fact that they can't do it. And that is not great, but it's, yeah, that's a little thing.
I'm sorry, go ahead and finish. So I'm sorry, let me figure out. The planning commission also, that they, I mean, for a long time, they were only getting like $35.
Well, I can tell you, I served on the planning commission for 10 years, and I had those years where we were zero.
Right, so anyway, it was just, sorry, that's all.
I would agree with Eileen. If we had received increases, that'd be a whole different conversation. But since it's been basically 10 years or longer, and knowing the amount of hours put in, I would agree with that.
Well, if you ask me, I think you all deserve it. I really do. There's a lot of time that each one of you spent, besides just council meetings. So, and everybody's time is worth a little bit of money. So, I will do it. And then once again, we're going down through administration salaries. That's split up between everybody in the office. And most all the salaries through that first part of it. And you'll see there's changes there. A lot have to do with the benefits. State now, well, they started last year requiring that you show what it would cost if the employee was taking all the benefits. So you have to show that cost, even if you're not, using it. So it is an expense you have to show, at the end of the year. When you're not using it or that, and it'll go back into the budget as surplus, and you can use it that way. So, and then direct it where you want it. Capital projects, just into the general fund. If we're still trying to build it,
We'll have to show it again next year.
yeah, you'll show it next year, yeah. So, I mean, you can keep it in the general fund, and once again, as you remember, a few years ago, we had quite a few, grants. And we spent a lot of money to match those grants,
But it
which
saves us money in the.
saved us a lot of money in the long run. We were able to get a lot of projects done, and it was well worth it. But that did lower our fund balances to the lower end, and now we're in the process of building those back up.
And I do have to ask you about that, because if you look at the audit report of the general fund, the audit, the fund balance at the end of the year said it was $2 million in the general fund. And if you look at what we're allowed to have, that's above what we're allowed to have. Is,
Is that showing unrestricted or?
If he has,
that is general fund. Yeah.
but he may have restricted funds in there too. The restricted funds do not count,
Uh-huh.
but the other funds don't. And, last year, at the end of
No, he
2025.
does not have impact.
Doesn't have it? We were at 22% on the general fund at the end of last year. With what we were rolling over and carrying forward,
So you can't, but, so you carried some of the fund balance and you moved it into capital projects, because capital projects is where we're allowed to keep it, not in the fund balance.
yeah, so that's where you see some of that rolling over into the other fund. Once again, to build that fund too. If
Right,
you're not building
but-
that fund, you pay for all our projects with cash.
Right, the capital projects,
Yeah.
fund. We can't build the general fund. That
No,
should just
we
be,
maintain the general fund in that 22 to,
and now that we build that back up in
30%.
projects, we don't really have to be worried about building that.
When we
Rolling
talk
over.
about the subject, I think that as council, we need to think about how much reserve we want to have in case there's an emergency.
Right, and that should be a council discussion.
Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to highlight it, to say, right now you're saying it's approximately 22%. You would feel more comfortable if you were building it up a little bit more.
What's the maximum we can go?
it just changed. It used to be 35%,
Yeah.
the new law just changed, it's 30% for us.
30%.
So,
30, but that doesn't include the capital project.
Right,
Right.
because capital projects you earmark.
or restricted funds.
Which this doesn't have.
Okay. So,
I think we're looking at, we've been at 27 before some of those grants, right? Like you mentioned, those grants has gone us down to about 20.
yeah, we were at 22 in that. This year, if everything goes like we budgeted, we'll be at like about 26% this year.
Again, you have to look at it and say those grants help save us some of what we had to spend on capital projects. And so those grants are really a great thing, not a, gee, this is sad, we're so poor.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. We got things done we never able to get done.
Well,
And we were able to get
we
it
would
done.
have gotten them done eventually.
25 years.
So when we talk about building up some of these funds, it's to handle one-off expenses, like the sound system, like the windows or the.
No, like,
No,
no, like for your capital projects, so road projects, your
the big,
projects is where that goes. And so a lot of times you'll have at the end of the year, say, this last year, I think we had like $300,000 that we didn't spend
in
in
capital
capital
projects.
projects or in, some of that. That can roll over back into capital projects and then just roll back over into this next year.
Now, our capital projects fund at the end was 4 million, is that right?
4.05.
It'd be really close to that.
And then we of course had to roll some of this out because it were 50%, better than 50% at the end, so.
Yeah, and so we had to roll some of that over into there.
So-
And that was in our budget to roll that.
Right.
It was like like 300 and something thousand.
So our capital projects fund at the beginning of this last fiscal year then was closer to $4.3 million, would that be what
That
I
would-
heard you say?
Yeah, really close to that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Was that something that happened?
Yes. Yeah, part of it. It rolled back over, yeah, so it rolled back over, and then there was an increase, so we had to bring that money.
So I'm probably stating something a little bit obvious, but if it's not, I want to just state it so it's kind of understood. If we can do bigger projects, we actually get more for our money than to do smaller projects. We can actually get more done. So the
Yes.
staff has tried to build up, do a big project, build up, do a big project. And that's why we do it that way.
so right now, after this project here, our capital funds, well, of course, it's got the other things, but that came out of that.
Mhm.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, and the money we rolled over into it from the last one.
Yeah.
So that's where that came, from. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That's helpful, thank you.
Building inspection, all those different things, just, we have a contract with the building inspector, we have, you'll see a new line item there for professional technical code 310. That is for the geotech. We're pulling that out. It's still on page number 4.
And where is it?
1058, 310.
10, 15, professional 10, okay.
We did,
I'm sorry.
I think because it's on the back.
Yeah, I did go past it. This is where you'll see insurance. That's our property. All that insurance is down in non-departmental. Then we have some miscellaneous expenses that come there, and then some capital furnishings. I did
What's your plan for that this year?
the capital outlay furnishings. Our folder that holds all the envelopes and stuff on there, all that.
What are we mailing these days?
We know about 547
Bills still?
bills every month.
And for some of that, is being paid for by those fees that you're.
Yes.
charging extra.
Yep, and then it goes back in, we collect that fee. But that, it can't get it fixed. It's
So it's
way
broken,
too
right?
old, but it's still working.
Oh,
But once it decides it doesn't work anymore, you can't get the parts for it anymore. So.
But we also
so this-
have it in this budget and next budget, right? So we have it in the budget for the
Mhm.
year we're in. So is it a
Yes.
$10,000 machine?
No, it's only 5.
So that's $10,000 altogether though, because you have it in 2 years.
Well, I put it back in because we haven't had to buy it.
But then that should be this year, it should just carry over.
It will carry over.
Okay,
But I
so,
still have to show it as an expense.
okay, but I think if you think it, okay, that's kind
I
of
have-
doubling up. So, because if you have it in this fiscal year at $5,000 and you have it in next fiscal year at $5,000, that's $10,000 altogether. So it's either, it should kind of be either or.
It would show the cash flow.
Right.
That'll be
Right,
one of
it's-
the,
It's a budget thing that's not quite right.
well, when we get to the end, it'll show it as a non-expense. And then when we get down to the surplus of the budget,
Okay.
that's where that'll fall to.
Well,
But I have to budget for it
yeah,
as an expense
Yeah.
for that.
It also gonna show in our place.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should. And so we budgeted for it 2 years ago as well.
No, a couple years ago, it was something different.
Okay.
And that was, I think there was a couple of computers and stuff like that.
So we're talking about line 730, right?
Yes.
And is that why we had in the unexpended column 5,000?
Yep, we haven't had that one. We've been able to get it to work every month so far. So,
Good job. that looking at that board like this?
No, it's the office ladies
Well, good for them.
knowing how to talk to it or something, because
Well, you guys.
It's getting a bit- it's getting a little more
Finished, huh?
finicky. Yeah, it is, I'll tell you. So you can see that there's a big increase on the police, I'm sure.
That's your 12%.
It's meant 12%, and then the 5% for fire protection.
So I have a question. Do we ever tell the sheriff's office that they may be killing the pounded goose
Yes,
here? I mean, at some point, if it becomes too expensive, we have to say hasta la vista, and
I had this conversation with Sheriff's Department just a couple weeks ago.
what did he say?
He agrees with us, and he agreed with me. They got a new controller, which is they replaced Kurt's close. So there's been a lot of discussion back and forth with this and about that. He has a whole bunch of other ideas. And so,
Because we
But I
can't
thought
totally
that-
supplement all the other things that the sheriff office does.
so, and that's why,
That's what we looked at.
and going back just to hourly,
Yeah, we looked at it. Yeah, they could save us a little bit.
And you do a lot of research, and we love them, but
yeah, at some point there may be a time when we just have to say we no longer can afford the sheriff's department. So there
it's
will
just
be a time.
unfortunate, because we really do love them.
Currently, the sheriff's department's only providing services here at Westgate Nine.
So we-
South Weaver and West Point are the three communities that they serve.
And then they have, but they have all these services that they're offering to the rest of the community. They respond to the rest of the county and different things. How is the rest of the county paying for that?
I don't know.
Okay, so that's something to ask our people who are running for sheriff then, is how are you,
How are you going to continue the
yeah.
relationship with Friends? Yes.
Because these small cities, 3 small cities cannot carry that whole office. Okay,
So,
yes.
and then, once again, you'll see salaries increased on these ones and wages. Once again, that was part of the audit of making sure the percentage of times that employees were paid where they should be, and just not till the fund balances. That's kind of down to the contributions and transfers.
No, I want to stop you
Okay.
there, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. Your city council's budget has increased like hugely. And I'm wondering, is it time to put a limit on how many people can join our city council? Because that difference between $2,000 and $7,000 plus another $500 for uniforms. I mean, we haven't even bought shirts for the council for the last 2 years. And the U City Council shows up with their jackets and their shirts and their, you know,
The city is fine.
Yeah, the city pays for it, and then, but they reimburse it.
so that is.
That's part of those donations
part
and
of it,
stuff that it
okay.
comes back into that.
Okay.
And that's what, it goes back in for the uniforms, and then it also goes to a certain amount for a big deal.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
I'm
just,
thinking Cuss State,
it's,
so,
It's sort of limiting, it's sort of assessed steady in the, 23 kids range.
Okay.
Yes, things now it's not much. Many councils are bigger than this, some smaller. Different ways they run, some minor care for the kids. We don't. Downstairs is that, so, yeah, those funds are for those 2 activities, basically, family. There's not a robust staffing inside the school building, it's usually first day of term, it's very hard to do. But, the other ones, they go to conference. And we always have the families pay a portion of this.
so they have to spend anything.
yeah.
The other thing about the size of the youth council is also the advisors and the logistics of having a larger. So I don't know if you're talking about.
Well, it's okay. The apparel, probably the apparel number there is, the city does buy the apparel. We don't get a stipend, plus cities would request a stipend for certain capacity, we don't. So basically, we just buy shirts and a jacket, and that's the apparel that accounts for our savings. So, I mean, as far as youth council advisor, I think it's limited. It hasn't seemed necessary to limit it, because it has held about that.
It's just one of those spots that kind of pops on the budget as far as, you know, percentage, so, thank you.
So then, are we ready for that next one?
So,
Which would be the contributions and transfers?
yeah, unallocated to fund balance, another $250,000 there
Yeah, so that was like the part of the surplus and stuff that was.
from last,
Yep,
yes.
yep, and so that was transferred over to the, it would go into the capital, or it would have brought the fund up to where,
Surplus.
yeah, that was a surplus. Yeah, at the end of the year. Yep. And then, of course, we have the transfers to the vehicle. They do transfer money to the road, which we continue to do. And then there's transfers to the capital project fund.
So capital project fund, if you look at that unallocated fund balance on capital projects, that we were able to put over $500,000 into that last year.
And we used an extra couple, 300 for the board, so we had 250 or whatever.
But we shouldn't be looking at that huge overage in the future, really, other than we have roads and whatnot.
Yep.
Okay.
So, this is one I don't have a lot on, the road fund. Lane has, some roadways picked out for overlays. The project this year, we will be close to 600,000 of, roads we wanted to do, or what we felt like we could do. We wanted to do all the roads we wanted, it was $1 million, but.
That's not reality.
That's not reality, so,
If it's prioritized.
yeah, those we would prioritize which roads we can do and, forward with that. But we did budget, so you'll see that there were roadway improvements, you'll see that $320,000.
It's interesting that we had a consulting company that actually.
Yeah.
Went around and surveyed all.
Yeah, and we're actually going through that still with our transportation utility fee study. We're still in that process of going through all that information and putting that together, so.
That's nice to be objective in how you evaluate quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they go through and do all the study for us.
But they're not the ones that,
No, they're not the ones that go out and do all of
that's a professional.
that's another company that comes in, does all the driving videos, all the roads, measures the cracks. They go through and do all that. Street launches. So, you'll see that there's $320,000 there, in that one. And then if you look in capital projects, which is on the other side, you will see the 1037,300, the transportation utility fund. That is a restricted fund.
1337.
Oh, sorry, 1337,300,
Okay. You mean it's a restricted fund?
because that can only be used, that's the monthly fee.
Oh,
that
that's
we
a
can-
BNC.
No.
No?
This is the stuff money.
Right, got it.
That can only be used for road. And so that money is put into, when it comes in, it's all gone through and it's put into a capital project. And so that's that money. And so to use that, you come down and you go to your tough road projects, which is part of your other capital projects for roads. And that's how much of those will be restricted to do those projects. I haven't added sidewalk yet. I haven't added park improvements. It's one thing I wanted the council to give me direction on
So-
tonight.
A sidewalk replacement, is that more than just letting people our matching fund.
Yeah,
Our
it's our
matching
matching.
fund is, this is our matching, okay.
Yeah, it's that 15,000, I didn't put it in yet, but I did want to talk about,
What have we been spending?
right, we're getting pretty close to that when we're, by the end of the season.
And our people pretty much,
Paid in their half.
no, what I'm trying to get to is, are we turning people away?
We haven't yet,
I haven't.
we haven't yet.
Because,
We've had, we've just stayed at right close to that, so we just kind of continue to budget that amount. We got to that point where we had more people wanting to,
I had somebody complain to me that they had come to the city for matching funds, and they were turned down on it, and I thought we had.
well, and that could be depending too, because if somebody's just gonna go take out all their sidewalk and approach, and then we don't even get to see if it's damaged, because it doesn't match, but they did the rest of the driveway. I'm not necessarily thinking the city should pay for that if we haven't seen it up front and been part of it.
Okay,
I think the other situation is that if there's a roof.
And if there's trees and stuff.
yeah, the root
Yeah,
trees have to,
yeah.
yeah, and they had removed the tree, but again,
So I take that, I have turned people down if there's a tree.
If there's a tree or sort of parts goes out.
okay,
I won't be replacing.
no, well, that's not our policy.
If they take the tree out, you move the tree out.
Yeah, because that's our policy. Okay,
So I haven't put money there, and I haven't put money there for park improvements. I know we talked about, this year we have $250,000, we roll that over into that capital project. But I didn't know if the city wanted to put more money there for the projects that we're trying to do in the parks, or if we want to continue at that amount. Where there's some more ideas that we want to have as far as some trails and different things around the parks and stuff like that.
what if we just added, $50,000 to it every year and into that?
Well, we do have a time limit on meeting taxis.
Yeah, and I think we're still all right on those, but.
Right, but,
So we'll have like years and years.
right, but there's some, right, and what I'm
And
saying.
like I
is-
said, there's money in the capital projects
Right.
if we want to increase that, but I think that's a council decision. If they want to increase that to a higher amount, then maybe get a little bit more done than we would if we just keep it at the 250.
And
And so I wanted to-
the other thing is talking about trying to get donations and matching funds too. And so, if we could have the option to maybe put 50 more there and try and match some of that.
We're a grant that would be.
No, from
Donation.
donations.
From residents.
No, donation matching.
We have a cap on what we could and adjust to.
I mean, it's an idea.
Yeah.
Is that
I'd love to move that forward. I think there's a lot.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I do think there are a pretty significant number of our residents who would put some of their money where their mouth is.
I'm really excited if that's the case. Matching, I think it's a great idea.
I'll admit that I'm not overly crazy about pickleball courts, but I also, if somebody was willing to put money where their mouth was, then I would try and fight that.
Yeah.
No, and we got Boweries that we need to replace that are falling apart and stuff like that. So I'm just saying, does the council want me to put more money there or leave it at the 250? I don't think that was mine. I think that's a council decision
I
in
just-
any direction.
If we have the money, if we put
There is some
another,
money there.
if we add, a good 50,000 to that, then I think, and we say, we're working on the parks and this, one of the things that we hear often is, a cement walking trail around both here and Nichols, for people who have strollers that want to walk and be on the street, that kind of thing. Plus the pickleball courts and stuff, and so, I don't know, how do you,
Isn't calculated in what we talk about.
No. But,
So what you said is 300,
I'm I'm just looking for that direction, so I'll
I'll
put
for sure
three.
of that too, and call the total pricing. I feel like it's just a ballpark number.
Well, for four pickleball courts, I think we figured you could do them for, but obviously you can't do the Bowery for
Yeah, you
that.
might be able to do the Boweries.
But the Boweries can be great.
Depending on where things are.
My question is, where?
Capital improvements. It would come out of that account, there's no increase to anything else, so it would just come out of that account.
Because we have money in that account.
City building will be done.
City building's not gonna be a project anymore for a while, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, you said the other things like sidewalks.
I
Water
did.
line, you don't have those numbers yet.
The sidewalk, I just put Sam back, that's what the
Yeah, that
council
15,000.
was okay with that, so let's put that on back.
That's 15 is what we've been.
Yeah, and so the other ones will be all completed, and that's what I was going to, they're all completed in the last couple of years, or this year, and so all those numbers are done.
Okay, I'm sorry, you did. I thought you were-
For sidewalks, and I did 300 for park improvements. Okay, thank you.
So.
That's done, yeah,
You know,
that was,
It's hard because, as Lane was just saying, these guys work really, really hard on the parks, during winter here, and we have no idea what the water situation may be, and we may lose our grass again, which is tough to think about, so.
yeah, that's like,
What grants do we have for, we have the harvest grants?
pretty close, we don't have another research of
The one we keep talking about. There's
that you can't plant from seed.
You
know
have,
that.
yeah.
You have to plug it,
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
plug it, and so,
The Bermuda?
yeah.
It is kind of a Bermuda.
It's a Bermuda grass, you have to plug it, but we do pick grasses that are
Yeah, what's
more
that?
drought than normal.
No, it's a specific kind of, it's a type of Bermuda grass, but the state of Utah had approved it a couple of years ago.
It won't seed. Well, no.
But it spreads, it doesn't seed, but it spreads.
Yeah, it just
And,
spreads.
and the whole deal with it is, and we've talked about this in the cemetery committee quite a bit, is, you water it 4 or 5 times a year. Oh, 4 or 5 times a year. So you have some upfront cost, but instead of being a Bermuda grass that is really coarse and,
It's got a fiber.
it's got a
fiber
really-
broadleaf.
yeah. So it's almost hard to tell the difference between what it looks like compared to the Kentucky bluegrass kind of thing, or the fescues. It's anyway, that the state of Utah is recommending it as a waterwise, ground cover.
We can identify specific areas you want to try it out on.
Yeah, and just start, in maybe one of our smaller parks or something, and just,
Do a test run. of
do
that.
a test run, see if we like it, see if people are like, "Well, we don't like this grass or what it is, but where it is something that the state's promoting as a waterwise kind of thing. And certainly this year we may, looking at losing some of our grass if we don't get adequate rain, might be time to look at some.
Does the state have a funding cash to get that in,
Do they?
With the waterways products, they don't.
No,
they
not
don't-
the
they
city.
don't incentivize-
Not the city.
Not the city.
They'll help you tear out your park strip at your house. but that's it.
Yeah,
Irrigation, I think everybody's pretty familiar with that. That's the Ethos irrigation system, the SID that we put in a few years back. That money's collected
and
monthly, and it just maintains itself.
And that's only about 50 households. is that-
53.
so are we getting to a point now where some of those, are there very many people left making payments?
No, but the last one just sold his house, and so we should be receiving that final check.
Okay,
For that.
so then nobody's
And so we
financed anymore.
so we don't have any of the financing
This is
that
just,
will happen. So,
okay, and this is really much just a pass through again, right?
uh,
Are we supplementing it?
no, we're not, we don't supplement as a city. It's all maintained by the funds we collect so
Yeah.
far.
So
There's a
it's a
small
balance.
balance. We do, I mean, I can tell you, I added a couple of things because we've used some of the fund balance on things. So I'm putting a little bit more back into the fund balance. I also increased the transfer to the water funds because we're updating the telemetry. And that's part of the telemetry. And so they need to pay for that little bit of portion of the telemetry system.
That was just recently. Those meters were just recently, maybe like last
Now,
year.
do they-
A couple of years ago, yes.
Do they all have their meters now?
Yes, everyone has the meter. up
And you
there.
have a replacement fund if we have a.
Yeah, and that's where I'm starting to put back into the, okay, we need to put a little more back in, so as we have to replace things, we have a fund balance to, so. The water funds, this is where the different revenues come in as far as paper billings.
Now, this is another one that I have a question on, in our audit report, is our audit report would suggest that we have close to $2 million already in that water fund. Is that, and that's, I'm not sure how that's reflected here. Is this just this is just the revenue?
Just-
It's not what's already, it's not what's already there.
No, this is just the revenue that's
Okay.
there. And once again, we save money in that fund, so we do a water project, that all comes out of that, doesn't come out of general fund. So
Right.
water projects have to come from this one. And that's the same as if we take money and put this in the general fund, that's a loan to the general fund, and the general fund would have to pay that loan back.
So a question on this, as we are looking at road projects, how is this fund, and because we just did a study, are we good? Are we good with what the water fund is? Because we spend some of it when we do a road project typically, right?
And we,
So-
well, depending on what cost it. We do create it, and for like a project, if we're replacing the water line, yeah, there's a portion of that project that replaces the cost of the asphalt. So that's included in that
Okay,
bid
okay,
price.
so it pays for more than just the pipe, it can pay for some of the asphalt too.
If it's part of that project.
Okay, and are we, I think we're still trying to replace transite pipe, is that?
Yes, we have a couple areas that we still translate like this.
And honestly, how many years before we come down with that?
Well, it depends on how much money we want to spend. I could have it done this year, but it'd be millions, so.
We couldn't have done this yet.
So what I'm saying is, with our current,
5-year plan.
well, yeah, with our current, like, how we've been budgeting, how we've been spending money, and how costs have been going, obviously that can all fluctuate. I'm not asking you to have a crystal ball, I'm asking you, what is the projection based on?
Of them being replaced.
Yeah, like on the
But-
time frame that we
What are we,
traditionally done. and
realistically,
how-
what are we saying before they're all done?
I was gonna say 15, but I think
So we're
10 is
still a ways
probably-
out there.
Yeah, still a ways out. We don't have a lot, but water projects are very expensive, so.
Is that all under roads?
Yeah.
Transite?
So we hope that we don't have any earthquakes that cause any major fissures. To that, because transite is extremely brittle. And so, whereas the plastic will move just a little bit as it gets shook, the transite will. And that's why we have that. That's why one of the reasons.
It's really,
we have this
it's
fund.
really weird. Sometimes you can hit it with a sledgehammer and it won't do anything. The next time, you can be 5 feet away from it and it'll pull apart. Just depending, so.
So realistically, you're thinking of 15 years, but
10 or 15.
10 or 15.
We have in our plan, things put together, and public works is put together. Replacement for areas that need to be replaced or upsized to meet state requirements for fire flows. One of those projects I will tell you is the 650 project that we're working on. It's going to be very slow, but we put it in the budget the last couple
for?
So it'll extend from, the Rockwell subdivision over past the county shops into 650 north. It includes PRV station, it includes, and what that does is give, fire flows over there. Right now, we
Now,
struggle with fire flows.
Some of that's gonna be paid for by the developer, some of it's gonna be paid for by the county. So are we just paying for a little bit, or are we paying for a
Well,
lot of
we'll
it?
be paying for the PRV and paying for, any upsizing that we have to do, and we'll be paying for a portion of it.
You know, like a,
The,
like you're paying like 30% of that cost.
well,
Sorry.
I will tell you, there's two different things happening there. I'm not sure where the developer's at on theirs. If that development moves forward and stuff like that, they'll pay 100% of the cost across that property.
Across the property that belongs to them.
But belongs to where that goes, that would be, they would pay 100% of that. The county's gonna pay a little bit to help them out with fire flows. And then we got the PRV station and stuff like that, but that will be the increase.
To clarify, the whole length is not.
Right, so
Three different properties.
and then we have state funds in
Yeah,
our.
I don't want people walking on the bridge.
No, just across their property. If it doesn't, and it doesn't work out, then we'll go back.
Or can it just wait? What is there a demand that we have to, I mean, why would we want to do it as a city?
Fire flows at the north end.
Okay, but there, we already have, I mean, we have.
It's an issue,
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
it's just an issue one of those things that's been on our plan for
Okay.
years and years and years, and we have that opportunity.
But,
And
but cost
we have
of
some-
a year if the developer decides not to do it this year or something.
yeah, we'll figure something out. The county, so.
And then we still pay for it because we still pay county taxes,
And
so.
then if they ever develops, then they have to pay all back. So there's things that we can look at as we're going through that process, so.
That'll come up through impact fees.
A portion of it is paid by impact fees because of the impact of the system for fire flows, like there's a portion of the PRV that's impact fees, there's a portion of the water line that's being impact fees. So,
You're sure you can come out to.
Maybe not prepared to talk about it because you don't, everything's moving around, but what mechanism do you have to get it developer to
Pay
pay
back.
back is what I think we're.
Yeah.
well, that would just be part of the rest of that subdivision. We already have an agreement with the developer to cover the whole cost once that's developed. So we have that.
So we already have.
Yeah, we have that
agreement in place. When it happens.
Does it trigger at 100% completion? Or for them to pay back as a vehicle?
When we have it, when they're ready, if they were developing and stuff like that, just there's a lot of training once to it. But yes, we have an agreement with the developer that they would pay for that whole stretch, on that.
So moving down to the transmission and distribution,
Yes.
you have 75,000 for professional and technical each year. What are we spending that much money on each year for that?
So there's professional technical for engineering. We're doing different engineering things
On the water?
on the water system. There's, when we're working with chlorine, and we have individuals coming, if we have the tanks cleaned, there's just a lot of different professional technical stuff that fall under that category.
So you're rolling some of that over every year, or are we spending it every year?
We actually decreased it last year from 130,000 down to 75,000. And we looked at it at a couple of different things. We didn't have really any big water projects we were looking at. So that's a savings there. And just some of the development issues and stuff like that were down, so we lowered that down.
So, and the water study, we've already done our water study. still.
We did our impact fee study. Are you talking that $1,500? So some of that is doing with, testing
Okay.
and those kind of things that come up every year.
Now-
Sometimes we're like, no, we'll throw that under the professional and technical, and we won't use it. Or there's times that, oh yes, this has to fall under the study part of it, and so it has to go there.
So-
And so that's why, actually, you can see that, I will tell you, the study has probably gone down the last few years, just because we've accomplished a lot of those things.
Yeah.
And so we can bring it down some, but the state does, also, we'll throw something out and say, oh, we want a conservation plan, and so part of that's studying the water system, part of it's professional technical. Or we'll hit something with rural water, and we'll have something that goes there, and then so it falls under that portion.
Okay, well, I'm down by 50%.
Right,
Yeah, we've lowered them a lot the last few years, just because of the planning and stuff that Lane's done. Where we think we're gonna be, we've been able to lower those down. The only problem is the cost of everything else is skyrocketed.
so what about the roads to the springs? Why are we still maintaining that road?
We still get collect water,
Are we from the spring? Where are we doing with that?
it goes into the irrigation.
It's going to Dave's Green.
No.
No.
No, it goes into the special improvement,
Okay.
it goes into there. The other reason is as long as we're maintaining and we're keeping that, we can keep our water rights good.
So is the East Oaks, Special Improvement District paying that $2,500?
They're paying a portion of it. We used to send 500 over for it. But I think this last year is the first time we actually went out and started making it to see if we get to some spring blocks to see if they were still collecting this last fall.
I mean, because if you're
So-
sending it to that project, they ought to be paying for it.
Well, yeah, I agree they should be paying for more of it.
So maybe
So,
think of that.
There's a big increase on capital outlay improvements, 15,000 up to 42.
telemetry system, that would be the telemetry system to go through. That's where the costs are coming in right now. It's right close to that price, so.
We've had our other telemetry system for a lot of years at this point.
2002.
So,
There's a lot of it that can't be replaced anymore, and
Right.
so we're past that, almost end of life.
Yeah.
Still running, but there's some things that we needed to update this last year, and we can't update, because we can't get the parts and the equipment to do it.
When you can't get parts, they're exceptionally expensive.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, what they would have to do is shut down our system and take some of the parts and see if they can rebuild them and then reinstall
Seems like when you and I were talking about it, a month ago, we were talking some crazy number of
them. Yeah.
like $10,000 for repairing.
One board.
so how soon would you be buying that new system? July, is that a July 1st thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
would
is
get
next
it
year.
on first, yes.
You would get it on order July 1st, or you would get it on order before July 1st?
Well, as soon as they can.
As soon as the budget is.
I don't think, so who I've gotten prices from, they're not backed up too far, so it's Western Delco. Western Delco. Delco. I think so. Anyways, yeah, they said they can do it as soon as it's approved, so.
There's a couple companies that, talk to get prices from,
So
so.
we could get three bids.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
We are just, really good, we were at 640, and
Okay.
it was 645.
Sorry.
But we're not quite through.
The other ones are really fast.
We do have
Remember the
some
sewers?
other-
That the sewers pretty much faster. That shows that 3 double increase that they'll have this year. That's a faster account for the most part. There are things that the staff doesn't hear, billings and stuff like that. There's times the guys are out looking and stuff like that. So there are some costs to the city. And we take those costs. For the majority, that's a cost.
And the treatment is also faster, right? Which is, talk about things going up a lot. That's a
Yeah.
huge increase. What percentage is that?
you know, you think about it, it's about $16 per household in the last 3 or 4 years.
I mean, we're going from 2 years ago, 840,000 up to 990,000. That's huge. But again, we're stuck on that one.
Solid waste, that's really good to be close to the same, that's our garbage and our recycling and our green cans. Once again, 594250, that's a new line item, that's so if we need to purchase cans and those kind of things.
So what is it?
Page 13, 594250. We haven't really had anything in there.
Yeah,
So-
cans do wear.
And the cans, now that we got recycled cans and green cans, we're just putting some money in there, so if we do have to do it. Usually when I order cans, I order them through Robinson Waste when they're getting delivery. So I don't pay all the shipping costs as far as what it costs to get a truckload here.
How long is our contract with Robinson?
So, yeah, 2 more years
2 more years?
after this.
And have they made any mention of potentially hitting us with their, fuel surcharge?
I have not heard of that yet.
Okay.
So-
Because it's built into the
Yeah,
contract,
it is built into the contract.
and it could happen.
Like I said, there was one thing that, when we put our pricing together for the recycle, landfill had already approved an increase. That started this last year that we put in our budget. But we're fine on our costs. And just a lot less revenue coming out. And then the vehicle budget, which we talked about, that one has not changed from when we started a couple months ago. If you have questions.
I do have a question on
Yes.
that one. On the vehicle, on our, some of our maintenance and stuff, I know it costs, but at the same time, like, we're no longer trying to nurse that old international along. And so is that dropping some
That
of our
will-
costs, or?
Yeah, that drops in the cost, and so will, international. 19. One of those has had a lot of issues and it's out of warranty, and so.
Okay. But we're still gonna sell it,
Yeah,
right?
that's one of the ones we want to sell, so we don't have to continue to try to keep that one running, make sure. I think most of them are really close to the same.
Thanks, I was over that too.
As far as, which one?
16, 60, 50. That's what it's pretty close to the same, but it has been.
You wanna buy-
That's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
yeah, it's just, well, we kept that as just the same, just where I have to, but that's something we can cut. To see where we're actually at. Okay, thank you for listening, please, if you have any questions, email me. My next couple of weeks are really gonna focus on getting all the estimates together, getting all the
Are you
You're
okay
ready.
with text as well?
text is fine too, just as long as you will let me know, so I can work on that as I go through it. Otherwise, I don't want to miss a lot. So I say, oh, just all this and after that. So, please, any questions, concerns, numbers, text me, email me, call me, whichever, and so I can put my Adam's my notes.
So one caveat, I was on page 5, is that the difference where we're saying that where that's deficit?
Yeah, the $158,000 right now, with the way that budget is,
But you also need to look at that sales tax revenue,
yeah, I
which
do,
is
I didn't know.
$160,000, so.
Not affect the taxation.
That would affect that, yes. So, and I already do that.
So just to give you like a first fire and police services, for like 65, but 25, for
Study.
sanitary study, and then the remainder,
A lot of that was
basically
benefits
is
and
going for the benefits that are required to show. However, we know we won't
spending.
we likely won't be spending them, but we know we may they don't, then we can use that money to build up our 22%. Higher, so that you understanding where some of the excess could come from, but we still cover it. If suddenly.
Everything ever
All the
changes.
small guys decide to get married. They have to change our own consumption and stuff like that, so we should.
I usually already do.
You're there.